there LEGO and space fans. Today we have the Space Shuttle Discovery, LEGO's latest tribute to the history of spaceflight. This is kit number 10283 at 2,354 pieces, and within we've got the Space Shuttle Discovery itself, of course, at a pretty good size, being a good 54 centimeters or 21 inches long, on its own display stand, with the cargo bay doors that open up, revealing within the Canadarm and the Hubble Space Telescope. We're going to get a closer look at all that after the build video. But for now, let's get this thing unboxed so we can get this build underway. With the release of the Space Shuttle, by my count, this is now the 6th set that LEGO has released to celebrate the history of spaceflight, with this one being the 4th one in my collection. And thus far, I found every one of them to be fantastic. In this case, we have the Space Shuttle Discovery, one of 5 fully functional orbiters that NASA built as part of the Space Shuttle program. In its 27 years of service, the shuttle made it into orbit 37 times, aggregating more space flights than any other spacecraft to date. Now retired and pulled from service, Discovery is now permanently grounded and has found a home at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And now to get a closer look at Discovery, which has its classic white and black paint job, which allowed it to stay relatively cool on the top where it's exposed to the sun, and along the bottom having all those heat tiles that protected it from burning up upon re-entry. It has 2 relatively small wings and some maneuvering flaps, so that once it broke through the atmosphere, it could safely glide to its landing spot on the ground. And of course, it has a large cargo hold, which in this case is filled with the Hubble Space Telescope. Seen here, all secure in the cargo hold, it can alternately be displayed so the Canadarm is lifting it out, in this case with the solar panels all rolled up, but alternately you can swap them out for the ones that do fully extend. Or, if you so choose, Hubble can be displayed all on its own, as it has its own display stand, where it sits at a nice jaunty angle. It's very easy to get a good look at it from every side, The cylindrical body with shiny surface will catch light at pretty much any angle you look at it. And unlike in the position where it's being lifted out of the shuttle, there's room to fully extend the two communication dishes, one atop and one on the bottom. All this making for a very nice representation of what's probably the most famous telescope out there. Back to the shuttle, getting a closer look at the interior of the cargo bay. First, in the bottom right hand corner, we've got this little communication satellite, which would extend when cargo bays are open, allowing the astronauts to maintain communication with the crew on the ground. Along the back edge, we have the canted-arm, currently stowed for transport, and having its variety of different joints, it can easily be maneuvered and positioned to a variety of different poses. And then we have the security cameras, one in the middle of canted-arm, two all the way at the back of the shuttle, and another one all the way in the front. And these cameras are very important, because every time the canted-arm was in use, the astronauts from within the shuttle would rely on these cameras so they could see what was going on in the cargo hold as they were maneuvering their cargo in or out. All the way in the back, we have the three big main engines, with the top one being one that you can rotate a little left or right to control the flaps and the wings. And then we have the large forward thrusters, which are mounted just above that. And these are flanked on either side by a cluster of smaller maneuvering thrusters, which can also be found in the nose of the ship. Coming back to the tail, we have these little flaps, which you can position for left or right maneuvers, or expand for air brakes. And now to the landing gear, which deploy very quickly and easily by pressing in the release, located all the way in the bottom back of the ship. And then we have these two little plaques, which each display some nice little fun facts about our two display pieces. With the features all covered, I'd like to now talk about the build process a little bit, because I really enjoyed building this one a lot more than most LEGO kits. It had a very similar feel to me as the 1989 Batwing, which I really enjoyed because both these kits got pretty big quite fast, and the shape of what I was building became apparent early on, and from there, I was just building it up and finishing off and adding those details, and that was just very satisfying because I knew exactly what I was building, and I just find it to be a different kind of satisfaction, which I really enjoy. The build itself is also quite sturdy. I can grab it from pretty much wherever I want, from the nose, along the body, and even most of the wings, except for the very end bits. And it just feels solid. Now, as to the playability of this kit, it's not so great. I've certainly had some fun flying it around, and that landing gear is definitely great. But to be honest, it's a little bit too large, a little unwieldy. I'm not saying there's no fun to be had, but I would definitely recommend to save it for those with adult-sized hands. But overall, I think it's pretty clear, this set was made to be displayed. And here, I'm going to give it top marks. Not just because it looks really good on its own, but because there's also so many ways to display it. From the shuttle with the cargo bay closed, open so you can see the interior, maybe the satellite's in there, maybe it's partially emerged, maybe the satellite's on its own display stand. The shuttle itself can be rotated on the display stand, so instead of pointing upwards, you can have it pointing downwards. And, of course, let's not forget, these could be hung from the ceiling. As to the parts, this kit's loaded with great pieces for use, but there's only two that stand out as being unique or special. First would be an honorable mention for the solar panels, because they are pretty cool, but they're not actually bricks. Then we have the cockpit glass, which is definitely a pretty cool piece, and I'm pretty sure a set exclusive. All in all, I would say the target audience for this kit are the AFOLs out there. Someone's got a little shelf space out there that's looking for a pretty sweet looking, highly recognizable display piece. And let's not forget the space community, because I'm sure the appeal of this kit is going to extend well beyond those of just the LEGO fans. But for me, the bottom line is, I enjoyed building mine, I enjoyed looking at mine, and I hope if you enjoyed this video, you already have or will soon have one of your own.